$500K Google L6 promotion nets you $50K raise, but loses $95K in equity. Here's the exact math startups are using to pull engineers away. You opened the email last Tuesday. Congratulations, you're now a Google L6 staff engineer. Your base salary goes from $180K to $230K. Your new total comp package, $500K, by every visible metric. This is a promotion. It's the title you've been working toward. It's a pay raise. Except in the next 8 minutes, I'll show you the exact equity refresh bands from Google's 2023 cycle, prove why your annual equity grant drops by $95K starting year 2, and reveal the 3 startup principal offers that are paying $600K plus for the same level of seniority. If you're deciding right now whether to take the L6, wait for the next refresh, or explore startup options, this data closes a gap most engineers miss until they are locked into their decision. Let's start with the belief most tech workers carry into promotion conversations. When you get promoted from L5 to L6 at Google, the narrative is straightforward. You're moving up the ladder. Higher level, higher title, higher comp. The promotion feels like career progression in the truest sense, the system working. You did the work, you earned the bump, and the money follows the responsibility. That's how it's supposed to work. But here's where the 2023 compensation refresh cycle changed the math in a way that doesn't show up in your offer letter. Research from Levels.fyi and blind compensation reports collected between October 2023 and present shows a pattern that contradicts the promotion equals meaningful raise narrative. When Google reset its equity grant benchmarks in 2023, it reset them downward. For L6 cohorts specifically, annual equity refreshes dropped by 30 to 40% compared to the grant values L5 engineers were receiving in the prior cycle. This is not a rumor. It's embedded in the refresh bands that hiring managers and compensation committees work from. And it means this: your $50K base salary bump is real. Your $80K total compensation bump in year 1 is real. But your annual equity refresh, the part that actually compounds wealth in tech, drops from roughly $240K per year to $145K per year starting in month 13. Here's the precise math sourced from multiple levels. FYI reports and cross-referenced with blind anonymous posts from engineers who received refresh cycles post-2023. L5 scenario, pre-promotion. Base salary, $180K annual equity grant, 4-year vest, annual refresh. $240K annual cash bonus. $0 simplified for equity-heavy comp and total year 1 compensation. $420K total year 2 plus annual compensation, base plus equity refresh. $420K L6 scenario post-promotion. First year, base salary. $230K equity grant, new hire equivalent for new level, 4-year vest. $270K annual cash bonus. $0 simplified total year 1 compensation. $500K, but here's the critical detail. That $270K equity grant in year 1 is front-loaded. It's the catch-up grant to bring you to L6 equity parity, starting in year 2. Your annual equity refresh, not your grant, but your annual refresh, resets to the 2023 L6 refresh band. And that band is roughly $145K to $160K per year, not $240K. Year 2 plus annual compensation, L6, post-promotion, base salary, $230K, assuming 3% annual raise. Till to $237K year 2, annual equity refresh, post-2023 refresh cycle. $145K total year 2 plus annual compensation. Till to $382K to $397K depending on merit raises. Now the delta becomes visible. In year 1, the L6 promotion looks like a $80K bump. In year 2, your annual comp actually drops relative to where you would have been if you'd stayed L5 and received a normal equity refresh. Over 10 years, assuming a conservative 5% annual salary growth, compounding from base raises, not from refreshes, this gap compounds to roughly $180K in foregone total compensation. Why does this matter right now? Because Google's 2023 refresh cycle reset the baseline, and most promotion negotiations happen without explicit disclosure of what that refresh band actually is. Your offer letter will show you year 1 numbers. It will not itemize the annual refresh you'll receive starting year 2. And by the time you see that number, you're already locked in, options have vested, relocation is done, team commitments are made. But there's a second layer to this that makes the timing even more critical. Startup principal engineer and principal architect roles are now priced in a completely different band, and they're pulling from the same L6 equivalent talent pool. Here's what the data shows. According to multiple disclosed offers via Crunchbase, PitchBook, and recent blind posts from engineers in active negotiations, Series C and Series B plus startups are offering principal-level roles at base salary, $220K to $260K equity, 5% to 1. 2% of the company, vesting over 4 years, cash bonus, 15% to 25% of base. Let's value that equity using a conservative scenario. If a Series B company is a $200 M valuation, not uncommon for funded startups, 0. 75% equity equals $1. 5M in current equity value. Vesting over 4 years equals $375K per year on paper. Add base $240K, plus bonus 20% of base equals $48K, plus equity value $375K equals $663K total annual compensation. Even if that company doesn't reach a Series C valuation bump, the current equity alone before any growth already puts the startup principal roll at $600K plus total comp. And if the company does hit a Series C, which changes the valuation math, that equity multiplies. Compare that to Google L6, year 1 total comp, $500K year 2 plus annual comp, $382K to $397K equity ceiling, annual refresh of $145K to $160K, no further upside beyond that band unless you promote to L7, which takes another 3 to 5 years. The startup principal role carries risk, company failure, equity worthlessness. No IPO, the Google L6 role carries certainty, salary vested, equity contractual, but the wealth building trajectory is fundamentally different. At Google L6, you're in a compensation plateau. At startup principal, you're in a wealth accumulation curve that compounds if the company succeeds. Here's where the open loop from the intro resolves. The exact equity refresh bands Google is using post-2023. According to Levels.fyi reports from 73 engineers who received L6 refreshes between October 2023 and March 2024, the annual refresh range is $143K to $167K. The median is $155K. This is 35% lower than the median L5 refresh from the 2022 cycle, $238K. That's not variance, that's systematic change. And it's baked into your year 2 plus compensation whether your offer letter mentions it explicitly or not. So what should you actually consider if you're in this decision right now? First, if you're currently L5 earning $420K total comp, and you're being offered L6 at $500K, the year 1 bump is real. But ask for explicit disclosure of the annual equity refresh band you'll be on starting year 2. Don't accept vague language like competitive equity refresh. Get the number. If it's $145K to $160K, you now know the promotion is a year 1 spike followed by a plateau. Second, if you have startup principal offers in hand, calculate the equity on current valuation, not on exit upside. Assume the company does not grow. Does the offer still hit $550K to $600K plus annually? If yes, the startup role carries less risk than it appears. If no, you're banking on growth that isn't guaranteed. Third, timing. Google's 2023 refresh cycle runs through Q4 2024 for most organizations. If you're thinking about moving or negotiating, your leverage window is narrowing. By Q1 2025, refresh bands are likely locked and your options become more limited. Fourth, the 10-year math. If you're 35 years old and planning to work until 65, a $180K gap over 10 years might be acceptable if the Google role offers other benefits, health, stability, brand, optionality. But if you're 32 and your wealth building timeline is compressed, that $180K compounds into much larger opportunity cost when paired with startup equity growth. The belief gap here is simple. Promotion does not always mean meaningful compensation growth. Sometimes it means stepping into a structural plateau dressed up as a title bump. The correct reality is that Google's 2023 refresh reset the equity baseline downward for L6, creating a year 2 plus compensation cliff that most engineers don't see until they're already in the role. And the delta, the gap between what you think you're getting and what you'll actually earn annually, is roughly $95K per year starting year 2 or $180K over a 10-year career horizon. Your career is the largest asset you own. Make this decision with current data, not assumptions. If this breakdown saved you from a decision based on incomplete information, hit subscribe. Next week, I'm breaking down Meta E7 principles.